So, an affordable watch with all the bells and whistles for about the same price as a few of these? Yes, please. What's up, guys? It's your boy Rich here, back at it again. And let's go take a closer look at the new Spinnaker Croft. Let's do it. And here is the new Spinnaker Croft, whose watch and name were inspired by Robert Croft, who in 1967 was the first U.S. Navy diving instructor to freefall from a height of 200 feet. That crazy guy, but his exploits have earned him a watch bearing his namesake. And there is a lot to like about this watch, especially for its price. The first thing that attracted me about this watch is its looks, and it's not just another Rolex Submariner homage. I think it stands on its own with its looks, and I was attracted to the green colored watch here. But it is also available in blue, brown, and black, and it is in 43 millimeters, 14 millimeters thick, and with a 22 millimeter lug width. And, you know, this dial, at first, it looked like maybe a Sunburst dial, but upon closer inspection, it is actually not a Sunburst dial, because it doesn't have the reflections throughout the dial. It's really just right in the center, where it looks like it's the Sunburst effect is going to begin. But then the rest of the watch, throughout the rest of the dial, it has this sort of textured, vintagey look to it, which comes together really nicely. And I like the seconds hand, the sub-seconds hand right there at 430, because it doesn't obstruct the minute and seconds hand, and it gives it kind of a quirky character. The Croft's baton gilt indices seem to be applied here. It's a really cool look, and as you would expect, or at least you would hope, the lume is really excellent for a dive watch. Some of the other notable features on here is that its bezel insert is actually aluminum, a lot like this watch right here. So there is a lot of goodies to this watch, including the steel case itself, which is the ever-popular 316L, and it has a sapphire crystal front and back, and we'll get to the back in a little bit. There's just a lot of value here on this watch, and the bezel action is quite solid, and let's see if the microphone will pick up the clicking sound. It's 120 click bezel. It is a very satisfying sound, and there is not any give here, as you can tell. I think the camera just shook, but it is a very solid bezel action here. And the other detail comes on the side of the case where it says Spinnaker right there. It looks like it could be engraved, though I'm not actually sure if it's machined in there or engraved. But it's a nice little touch that is not too conspicuous. And if we turn the watch over to the other side of the case, we'll see its crown done in black right there and with their logo. Pretty cool. Most of the watch is done in an entirely brushed finish, except with an additional nice touch, which is this polished trim right there that separates the lug from the case right there. A really nice touch. I like those little attentions to detail, especially a polished trim that separates the brushed work. And we have to give this leather strap some attention because it is massively thick. It is a really thick slab of leather. It has to be the thickest leather strap that I've seen, a lot like our belts. And it is specially treated to give this genuine leather strap a waterproof protection, which comes in handy whenever we get caught out in the rain. It is hand stitched, which is really nice there. And there is their branding right there on the buckle. This strap is a little on the stiff side right out of the box, but I think that's just because how thick the strap is, and I'm sure it will eventually soften a lot like our belt. I want to talk about the Sunburst Effect on the dial again, because I think I missed it earlier. While the main part of the dial still does not have that Sunburst Effect, it does on the sub-second hand right there. As you can see as I tilt the watch, that's where we see a Sunburst Effect right there in the sub-seconds hand at 430. So I think that little subtle detail is actually really really cool. So it's not on the main portion of the dial, but it is, I think you can see it right there on the sub-second's hand right there. A really cool detail that I just caught. So what powers this watch? It is powered by Citizen's Miyota 8218 automatic movement here. And I think Spinnaker did a pretty decent job with the finish of this movement. I think its rotor, there's custom black rotor right there with their logo on there. It's actually really cool. I think that really helps make the movement, you know, somewhat attractive. It may not be the prettiest movement, but it is certainly not unattractive, and I think it's fine to have this exhibition back, which is also a sapphire crystal, just like the front of the watch. The movement does not allow hacking, which means the second hands won't stop whenever we're setting the time, so we can be precise. For some, I understand that could be bothersome. For me, it's certainly not a deal breaker because I don't usually set my watches precisely to the second. What do you say I try this on, and then we'll follow up with additional wrist shots. In the meantime, Mickey will keep you company. I'll be right back. Oh. Spinnaker Croft is a legitimate diver's watch. It has a water resistance of 500 feet. This watch is definitely attractive. There is a lot to like about this watch. It just has all the bells and whistles of a watch, far more expensive than the Spinnaker Croft. This, you know, I would actually say that this watch was pleasantly surprising and impressive to me. I really enjoyed looking at this watch. I mean, look at that dial. You know, it's. I'm not doing a rally cry here, and I just realized it could sound like this, but it is just a really, really attractive watch here, and we definitely get a lot of value here in this watch. And the cost of the Spinnaker Croft is $320, and I think that represents a really outstanding value for everything that we're getting in this watch. And we're back, and I already knew the price of the Spinnaker Croft well before it arrived. So for a couple of $100, $300, and that's what I was expecting, a watch with the looks and quality of a watch fitting that price category, until it arrived. And that's when I was actually wowed. I was kind of sort of blown away. Because even though the watch is really budget friendly, there isn't anything budget friendly about the looks and quality of the watch. It is actually very impressive. What do you say we hear a testimonial for the Spinnaker Croft? So Sam, what are your thoughts on the new Spinnaker Croft? What do you think about it? Sometimes he's a little moody. And his opinion is the only one that matters between the two of us. Spinnaker entered a very crowded diver's watch segment at that price point. But let's face it, there is no easy entryway into the watch world. And in Spinnaker's world, we have a lot of options. We can get a Casio or a Sterling or a Seiko, to name a few. So for the Croft to be able to stand out in a sea of watches, I think that says a lot about the Spinnaker brand. And I like what Spinnaker did with their Croft, with those colorful dials, without making them look too cheap or too gimmicky. I think they work really well with those vintage-inspired looks that they were going for. I think they did a really nice job with creating that unique texture and design with those colors. And in fact, they remind me of the higher-end Glasuta and what they did with their colorful dials. There is something worth noting about the Spinnaker Croft's presentation. There isn't any. It comes in a very, very simple box. But I get it, and that's okay. But don't get me wrong, I do love a really great presentation. I do. But in the case of the Croft, if their mission was to save money on a fancy presentation to be used toward the watch, then I think they've succeeded. Because they didn't look like they cut any corners on a Spinnaker Croft, and it is priced attractively on an attractive watch. The Spinnaker Croft absolutely captures our attention with its price and its looks, and is at least worthy of our consideration. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you the next time. And we're back, Jack. No. I already knew the price of the Croft before it left. No. I already knew It is an excellent driver's watch. No. It is an excellent dive.